Okay, people, I'm just going to put this little piece here first. So today is February 24th of 2024 at 12:23 a.m. in the morning. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to put this one up on YouTube because it's in relation to the British Columbia Canadian government Parliament buildings budget. And I'm going to do it in memory of Mr. Bernard John Duncan, a.k.a. Uncle John, a.k.a. Grandpa John. Yeah. Or just John. Right? He never used his first name, Bernard. He liked to be called John. But of course, the kids called him Uncle John. And then he got too old to be an uncle anymore, so they just started calling him Grandpa John. Right, so, okay. But it's in memory of him, people, because anything that relates to the Parliament buildings in the province of British Columbia, Canada, we can thank Uncle John for that, okay? Because it was him that got me involved, I guess you could say, with politics, because he was a janitor for the province of British Columbia, Canada, cleaning the Parliament buildings and the Lieutenant Governor's house and the whole 9 yards when it related to the Parliament buildings for like 25 years. Okay? And if it wouldn't have been for him egging me on... Andre, can you turn off that thing? I hear it running. Yes, please. It's just because I'm tired and this video is over an hour long and I'm going to listen, talk. And anything I have to say will be pretty much on the fly in terms of my first response. Although I did start watching a little bit of it and I was debating whether I should watch it through and then watch it again and record. And I decided, no, it's just better if I come in on the fly with it. So I'm going to do the video. But for the first, 10-15 minutes I watched it, and then I decided, no, I need to record this, and I need to talk about it, and I need to make it in memory of Uncle John, because if it wouldn't have been for him, there would have been no foundation, right? And just with the little bit that I was watching, I'm going to say it now, and I'm going to say it again. Because guess what I came across when I Googled newnationsunity.com, the website that I work on when I have a chance in relation to the foundation. I came across GMOI, Get Off My Internet, to which I think I should do a video on that. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but in the next little while, I think I should. And we'll talk about that, right? Because that came in after John was medically kidnapped and robbed of his inheritance, to which the province of British Columbia, Canada, ignores, even though he cleaned the very red carpet that these people walk on for over 25 years. And he used to do it with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. Because he told me he'd be cleaning the Premier's office, the Premier's desk at that time, with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, smoking. Just saying. That's how far Uncle John goes back with the Parliament buildings. If it wasn't for him egging me on, there would have been no foundation. I wouldn't have given a rat's ass about any politician or anything when it came to politics, right? But, so, what I think I'm going to do, because I'm pretty much done with the food prep, it's just a matter of putting it away. Not quite done with that. And plus I have to do something in the basement because my son is still raging. He expects everything to be done like that. And I told him yesterday, I'm having a nightmare. I'm waking up screaming at the top of my lungs. Literally, I'm afraid to give myself a heart attack. Saying it's not that straightforward, right? In terms of it can't be done in a day. It's just impossible for the amount of what you want me to move without me having my shit thrown out. I'm just saying. And then, of course, we got into a big row. So, but that's not what I'm talking about. But I've decided that as things are being, coming about, right, I am going to gather up a fair amount of my court papers, including what Fraser Health Authority gave me. Include CIBC Bank, with that still pending in the courthouse, right? And what just happened with Judge Ross and the Attorney General's office. I'll put it in a nice big fucking box. Sorry, boo-boo box. And I'm going to take it to my local MLA, Mr. Bruce Ralston, who is a new Democrat politician who's been in his position since the beginning of time. When I started to approach politicians, and you're talking like 2003, 2004, 2005, Uncle John and I, we went to go see him, and we sat, and we had a meeting with him to lobby, I guess, that's what they do, the BC Liberal government, who was in power at that time, to invest, $160 million a year for 10 years so that we could further lobby the federal government for the same amount of dollars, with the foundation lobbying the community in the same amount. So you take 160 times 3 for 10 years, total amount times 10 years. That would have been more than enough seed money to really make an impact when it came to a universal school meal program. But Mr. Ralston at that time said it didn't matter what they were putting in front of, what the NDP was putting in front of the BC Liberal government. John was with me, okay? We sat in Mr. Ralston's office, both of us, right? And he said it didn't matter what the NDP was putting forward in front of the BC Liberal government, because the BC Liberal government just turned everything away, refused. And he said, come back to me when we're in power. Well, I don't know if I approached him when Uncle John got medically kidnapped. I probably did, but I was dealing with Paul, and then I filed the lawsuit, and blah blah blah. I took it upon myself to fight for Uncle John, right? In terms of getting him home, I took it to the Supreme Court, filing the lawsuit with the mission to get him home. That was basically what it was about. But of course, that didn't happen because they were too busy trying to cover up what they did to him, people. And then when SHAMAY got murdered, and all that shit came about, I did go to Mr. Ralston's office, and I told him that there was some really shady shit going on, and that, SHAMAY, her medical files needed to be investigated, right, in terms of the cover-up of her murder, and blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure if I was aware of the fact that she had been embalmed, because I can prove that now, when I approached him. But I remember him telling me that whatever I'm doing, or whatever I want from him, because I went and seen him again, right? I had to kind of do it kind of fast, because when you're dealing with a healthcare system, with a health authority, and with the numbers of records that they stack and pack, as the people are going in and out of the hospital, the files can get buried very, very, very deeply, very, very, very quickly. And I don't even know if I had her medical files at that point. From the hospital, that is. From the hospital, right? And he told me to get whatever information I needed to get to him as fast as I could, because the government themselves can pull any file they want when they want it. But, you know, people, I'm only one person, right? You know, with the city, with the whip on my back, and Amari, and the burden of the house, and, you know, I did the best I could. Right? And then, of course, the more the shenanigans came to the surface, the more the cover-up came to the surface, the more the heinous crime of the illegal embalming of my daughter's body, with the, you know, prospect of her organs being harvested illegally, to which that would be the only reason they would illegally embalm her, would be to hide that fact. And then to go into her medical records and read that they said that I specifically denied that, when in fact I wanted to donate her organs, but they refused to take her organs, which is falsified medical records. Right? I mean, I'm not thinking about Mr. Ralston by this point. I'm thinking about taking my government to court and having them acknowledge it. Right? I didn't rely on Mr. Ralston, Mr. Bruce Ralston, to do my bidding. I did my own bidding for my own family. And by that point, I was, you know, getting mistrustful of my government in terms of, are you, like, actually human, or have you been replaced? Because I am convinced, I don't care what people think, I've done my research, I've done enough shit to convince myself that not everybody is who they say they are. Is Mr. Ralston 100% of human DNA? I don't know, people. Seriously, I don't know. But I do want to just gather everything up after I'm done with the food prep and, you know, deal with the basement and do a bit of yard work. You'll all come together, right? Assuming that I can see. Assuming that I can see, okay? And then, yeah, put together a box, go to his office after I go to the New Westminster Courthouse. Yeah, this is how I'm going to do it, people. I'm going to go back to the New Westminster Courthouse. I'm going to write 20 pages. Another notice of civil claim. There is no statute of limitation on murder. I'm going to include, and I'm going to file it as a document, so it's there in the file at the courthouse. The appeal that's being tossed off to the wayside because there's nobody here to help me with it, right? And, you know, I'm housebound, right? I have to go looking around for another doctor to give me a referral for my eyes, as if I'm going to, right, be trying to go in front of a 3-panel judge that will more than likely be as corrupt as Judge Ross was. Right? That's hard, right? I'd rather start fresh with that. There is no limitation on statute of murder. I will file on behalf of John, SHAMAY, and Sierra. I will cite my reasonings behind that. I will include my court cases that have already been documented, right? I will include my appeal that Rhea rewrote, which I'm kind of annoyed with, because I know her intentions were good. I'm going to have to rewrite it. I'm going to have to reread it, and I might even have to change it a bit, because it never got submitted, because nobody helped me to figure out how to submit it, and I get distracted, right? Because I'm overworked. Besides that point, whether I put it in as is, or whether I go over it and change what Rhea changed, where I'm satisfied with it, with what I want, not what she wants, but what I want. Because even if she does it her way, thinking she knows what she's doing, because she's done that kind of stuff for a lawyer. It never made any difference when I was in FaceTime with Judge Ross on the computer with Sonia too, the Attorney General's freaking lawyer. They just tossed it out, right? And because I've gone to court with Fraser Health Authority with Andrew the Dragon through an appeal process, I know exactly what kind of dirty pool they play. And I'm going to write that down in my lawsuit. I'm going to pay the $200, and then I'm going to take that, I'm going to photocopy it, I'm going to insert it into that big box of fucking information, and I'm going to drop it off at Mr. Bruce Ralston's office, my local MLA, who is in position of being the government, because he's in power now, right? And I'm going to ask him to get somebody in that fucking Parliament building to investigate what happened to my family. And I'm going to ask Mr. Ralston. I know, we're supposed to be listening to the BC budget. But I'm going to ask Mr. Why are you advocating on Mr. John Duncan? Well, you remember him. I made Mr. Ralston turn red, people, in the fucking face, because I told him to go get the money for the school meal program. That's your job. He said, well, I can't, because we're not in power. You need to go take it to Dave Hare. He's a BC Liberal MLA. Go see him. Go get the money from him. Right? Uncle John just sitting there witnessing it all. Uncle John was a great witness, people. He deserves justice. So, with that said, I want Mr. Ralston to investigate whether there was a superannuation life insurance policy paid out in John's name. Because if there was, it was done through fraud. Somebody jimmied the files on the inside of the network of criminals within our public union sector. And being that we're dealing with an Eleanor Gilding who did what she did, with the assistance of everyone around her within the healthcare system so that she could do it in partnership with CIBC Bank? You don't think that they don't have their tentacles in some financial office within the Parliament buildings that pay out superannuation life insurance policies? Because I have the proof, people, that John forfeited it at age 65 and never paid into it for it to ever be paid out because he didn't want his family to rob him. But they robbed him anyway because they stole his inheritance and the government is trying to cover it up. But I'm here to remind the government that it was Mr. Duncan who vacuumed the red carpet that they walk on anytime they go in there and sit within that. There's a name for it. I can't think of it right now because I'm kind of flustered and it's been a long time, right? But, you know, he took pride being a janitor working for the Parliament buildings for 25 fucking years. But he never took advantage of it. And he tried to protect his immediate family by removing himself from a superannuation life insurance policy that he was entitled to because he didn't want his sister, Eleanor Gilding, or any other family member across the water that he had no real relationship for years and years and years and years with to ruin his life and to ruin our lives. But they did it anyway because they abused their positions of power. And if Mr. Ralston is a decent politician, trying to clean up at least parts of the swamp, well, the first place you want to check is to make sure that no superannuation life insurance policy was paid out in Mr. Duncan's name because somebody jimmied the fucking files, just like they jimmied SHAMAY's medical files. because that's how easy it is to commit fraud in the province of British Columbia, Canada. And I'll tell them I'm serious because it will be my 4th lawsuit, my 2nd one against the province, so that they hear what I have to say and do their jobs to protect the public and to get rid of the riffraff within their employees, because ultimately they are the employer to the employees, and it is the employees who are committing the most heinous crimes against vulnerable people, including Uncle John, aka Mr. Bernard John Duncan, in memory of. If it wouldn't have been for him, people, I don't think I would have the spitfire that I've had all these years, because regardless what people have to say about me, I don't care in what fucking context, because they've never walked in my shoes. They couldn't stand going through what I've gone through if it ever happened to them. I'm not afraid to do what I just said I'm going to do. And I will do it. That's the best method. I'm not asking Mr. Ralston to help me with my lawsuit. I'm just going to let him know that I filed another one, because there is no justice for my family. Right? And you, as a politician that deserves a superannuation, but if you choose to forfeit it because you want to protect yourself and your family from being fucking robbed, and you turned around and got kidnapped, hauled off on a boat, drugged up in a hammock, almost die across the other side, be rushed off to the emergency room with a whole bunch of lies as, look how we found him, after being held captive for 40 fucking days in a healthcare system that played nothing but mind games with you and was drugging you up as they were telling you that they were giving you nothing more than a freaking calcium pill just so they could steal your money. You don't think they're not going to go as far as to maybe falsify that superannuation life insurance policy that he was entitled to? He just never paid into it. But anybody can change numbers. Anybody can falsify a record for the right price. I think that's what my videos have taught you, if you know anything about my videos. So why not that? Because on the week that they took John, I mentioned it just recently. What was Eleanor Gilding's daughter doing, Cheryl? She was phoning up SHAMAY, getting SHAMAY to go around the house looking for Uncle John's superannuation life insurance policy, which tells you that's how desperate they were to find it before he actually died. Because that's how close he was to dying after they took him out of a temporary care ward where they were holding him illegally captive, just so they could steal not only the inheritance that he inherited from Joan Duncan, which was a superannuation life insurance policy, and any other life insurance policy she may have held, but they weren't satisfied with that. Hell no. They wanted John's too, because they just assumed that he kept it. But he didn't. You see? He didn't, because he knew what they were like. So I'm pretty sure Mr. Ralston knows that there's a whole lot of crooks running around in the freaking halls, whether it's in the hospital halls, whether it's in the temporary care room fucking halls, whether it's in the courthouse halls, whether it's in the Parliament building in those halls. There's a whole lot of people running around with a whole bunch of criminal minds. I'm giving him something to go look for first. And that's the first place to look. And if he wants to go digging for SHAMAY's files, because he doesn't like the idea that people are laying up on hospital beds for 9 freaking days rotting, being displayed as alive on a machine, so that they can pay out $800,000 to the Surrey Memorial Hospital for a lie? Let that one eat at him when he goes to sleep. They're looking to balance their budget. I'm providing them a way to start balancing their budget. I'm not asking them to put everybody in jail, but the least you can do is fucking fire them and make it so that they can never be hired again in the province of British Columbia, Canada. Clean the freaking province. Forget the swamp. Just clean up the province. Or he's one of them. And he's part of the problem. He's held captured as a replacement to the original. And that's why he'd have no balls to follow up on what he's good at, assuming that he's willing to take on the challenge. Being that he's a seasoned politician and he knows how to maneuver through the halls without being injured. I'm just saying. Okay, so that's the introduction. Here's the website that's still quote-unquote official. They did bring up their $60 million school meal program. And it's really sad that I can't be on board with that at this point. For two reasons. One, because of what's happened to my family with no justice. Two, I'm very reluctant to jump on the bandwagon and start, oh yeah, right, to promote bugs. I'm just saying, that's not my idea of a school meal program, right? But we can't blame it on the bugs, right? Because it started with the gang stalking of my family and the targeting and the plucking of one here, murder of one there, cover up, another one lured off, covered up, who knows what that, right? So on, and Andre disappearing, and illegal child apprehensions, and just the whole 9 yards. Yeah, just the whole 9 yards, people. So I'll be back with the budget. Okay, so here we go. All right. In loving memory of Mr. Bernard John Duncan. Radio. So here we go. BC budget 2024. Alright, you can see the date. Okay, February 24th of 2024. What time is it now? Oh my god, 1:01 in the morning. Ugh.
It's actually 1:02.
Well, mine says 1:01. Alrighty. So, basically on the fly. And I'm going to try and be as neutral about this as I can.
Good afternoon, everyone.
See this carpet? That's what Uncle John used to vacuum all the time for 25 years, people. No justice, no peace.
Everyone, I would like to begin our proceedings today by acknowledging that we are privileged to gather on the traditional territories of the Lekwungen-speaking people, the Songhees and Esquimalt Nation. We honor and respect their enduring stewardship of these lands and the wisdom, culture, and traditions which are so generously shared with our community and with our province. Aishka, Siam. On behalf of all members, I would also like to welcome all our guests, many of them who are here today, friends and family joining us in the chamber. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. Madam Clerk.
Orders of the day.
Minister of Finance.
Honorable Speaker, I move that this House at its next sitting resolve itself for this.
Okay. Off the top, it reminds me of court. And of course, I have slight panic attacks in light of my experiences. Right? Just saying.
Session into a committee to consider the supply to be granted to His Majesty.
You have heard the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, I have the honour to present a message from Her Honour the Lieutenant Governor.
He used to clean the house of the Lieutenant Governor as well.
Her Honor, the Lieutenant Governor transmits herewith
I wonder if they can feel his ghost.
Bill and Tichol estimates fiscal year ending March 31st, 2025, and supplement to the estimates fiscal year ending March 31st, 2025, and recommends the same to the Legislative Assembly. Minister.
Speaker, I move that the said message and the estimates accompanying the same to be referred to the Committee of Supply.
You heard the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Minister.
Honourable Speaker, I move, seconded by the Honourable Premier of British Columbia, that the Speaker do now leave the chair for the House to go into Committee of Supply.
Continue.
I would like to begin by acknowledging the Lekwungen peoples, the Songhees and Esquimalt nations upon whose territories we are gathered today. Mr. Speaker, it is an honour to present Budget 2024. A budget that delivers solutions to meet today's challenges, that builds on a strong foundation to address the pressure people feel today. And it's a budget that brings more opportunities within reach for hard-working people. Because whether you live in a city, a town, a rural or First Nations community, many of us share a common hope for our future and that of our children and grandchildren. We all want to work hard.
I'm going to turn off this light behind me. Hold on a minute. Okay. I have a whole series, I think back from 2012, maybe 2011, called the BC House Parliament 13 or something like that, when they were having their budget debate and so on and so on. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of videos. One day that will go into its own playlist, but for now we'll just listen to this.
Hard and get ahead. Everyone wants a decent home in the community they love, and we all need...
We'll go back.
Continue.
I would like to begin by acknowledging the Lekwungen peoples, the Songhees and Esquimalt nations upon whose territories we are gathered today. Mr. Speaker, it is an honour to present Budget 2024. A budget that delivers solutions to meet today's challenges, that builds on a strong foundation to address the pressure people feel today. And it's a budget that brings more opportunities within reach for hard-working people. Because whether you live in a city, a town, a rural or First Nations community, many of us share a common hope for our future and that of our children and grandchildren. We all want to work hard and get ahead. Everyone wants a decent home in the community they love, and we all need access to quality health care, including a family doctor. Budget 2024 delivers on these priorities while continuing to build an economy that works better for everyone. There's a lot of work ahead of us, but we are starting from a place of strength. BC is a great place to live, where people can put down roots and raise a family.
I tend to disagree, and we know why. And that's why I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
We've got good opportunities today and the resources we need to succeed in the future. And wherever you call home, there is incredible natural beauty at our doorstep. For me, the Kootenays are home. It's where I've worked. As the first woman at the local pulp mill, as an instructor for early childhood education at Selkirk College, as an executive director of a nonprofit.
Unfortunately, when I heard that part, all it did was make me think of Eleanor Gilding, who lives up in Shawnigan Lake, who happens to be a white woman with the perfect white picket fence with the poodle on the side, and $1 million sitting in the bank because she can go around robbing people in the middle of the night, and the government condones it. So, I'm just saying.
But that's where I breed cattle on my farm. The Kootenays are where we chose to raise our family, and it's a place where I proudly live today as a Minister of Finance. And while I can't say I'm the very first finance minister from rural BC,
not everybody can say that they can live like that when they're facing homelessness after they get kicked out of a house that they've been living in with for 14 years and basically paid the mortgage 3 times over since, well, maybe 2 times. I've paid the mortgage 2 times since I've lived here, and I walk away with nothing except nothing. You will have nothing, you will own nothing, and you won't even be happy, right? Just saying. And I'm not the first and the last facing that problem.
I can say it's been a while. Our government has shown that we can put people first and build a strong economy. Some said this wasn't possible. They argued that...
No, I disagree. If you put people first, your government would have dealt with the lawsuit that was put in front of them and would have done the right thing and followed up on a thorough investigation in all areas of request under that lawsuit. Yeah.
Increasing the minimum wage would hurt job numbers. BC now has the highest minimum wage of any province and some of the strongest self-employment growth in Canada.
That's minimum wage, which would put you below the median income of British Columbia, Canada, at minimum wage. And that's assuming that the median income would be about $45,000 a year, to which you would need at least $100,000 a year to be able to live and be able to afford to live. Right. Within, I don't want to say reasonable comfort, but maybe not so stressed out compared to at $45,000 a year in terms of a medium income, right? A medium in terms of the national, the provincial average, right? Minimum wage isn't going to bring in a medium income. I do not think so.
They said we couldn't afford to build a universal childcare system from the ground up. In fact, affordable and accessible childcare has contributed to more than 100,000 women joining the workforce since 2017. They said we couldn't fight climate change while growing BC's natural resource sector. And yet, emissions are down and projects like the Cedar LNG facility are moving forward.
With that liquid gas, mainly, I think, honestly, people, being shipped off to China with a whole bunch of Chinese workers harvesting the liquid gas. Yeah, seriously. It's up in the interior.
Going to be the largest First Nations majority-owned energy project in the country and one of the cleanest liquefied natural gas facilities in the world. These are just a few examples, Mr. Speaker, of the action our government is taking to make life better for people right around the province. Now, I do want to recognize the times we find ourselves in. BC is an...
Flip-flop. Doing really well. She has her cows, right? Everything's all honky-dory. Anyone like her's got a honky-dory life, which includes Eleanor Gilding. I'm just saying. Right? For the majority, even at minimum wage, apparently, are doing well. But then all of a sudden, a whole lot of people are struggling. Okay.
Economic leader in Canada, but too many people are still struggling to get ahead. Global inflation and high interest rates have made everything from housing to groceries more costly. And with a slower global economy, we are feeling the effects here in British Columbia. At the end of the day, people have a lot on their minds right now, and they're feeling stretched. My family is no exception. We often get together for small family dinners, and by small I mean about 35 of us.
Okay, thank you. 35 of you, and I got 2 left and 2 grandkids. Wow. Right, with one son roaming around, falling through the healthcare cracks in terms of my oldest son with his alcoholism, right? Last time I spoke to him, he told me he was in a warming shelter. What does that tell you, people? And I haven't heard from him again for like a month and a half, which makes me wonder where he is. Okay? Wrong mouse.
And as a granny to 9 grandchildren and many more grandnieces and nephews, I hear from their parents how access to affordable childcare was life-changing. From my own experiences and that of other relatives, I see how important it is to have access to a family doctor and health care close to home. And while housing has been
Family doctor.
out of reach for so long for many people, I'm starting to hear stories that give me hope. This one chokes me up. With more homes being built and short-term rentals coming up for sale in her Kelowna neighborhood.
Short-term rentals coming up for sale. So what, they got the renters on the run? Because, you know, only certain people can qualify to go buy houses. And you have to have a substantial amount of money to put down a deposit, right? I'm just saying. And before you can even buy it, you have to have a substantial income in order to qualify for a mortgage. So she's catering to the middle class here, clearly, which would be above the medium income.
My granddaughter sees a future where she could own her own first home. It won't be tomorrow, and it'll take a lot of hard work, but she said to me, "I think it's possible, Granny." These are the conversations so many families are having at kitchen table.
Not at mine. We're all worried about what's going to happen to Amari, as well as Andre. Really, who does he have left? And for how long? And what are our prospects to be able to find affordable housing in any kind of capacity, especially when you've got the landlords telling you you'll never have another house like the one that you have because you just won't be able to afford to rent another dump. Basically, an old bungalow that's on the list to be tore down because it's obsolete and doesn't require much maintenance because it's going to be tore down anyway, so who cares? Who cares if it's falling apart? Right? I'm just saying, you think whatever I've gone through in this house still go through sometimes, other people aren't facing the same crap? Oh, man.
Right across the province. And as finance minister, I want you to know that when times are tough, our government works for you. We have your back.
No. If you had my back, you wouldn't have thrown out my lawsuit and you would have done the right thing. And that's why I'm going to take it to Mr. Bruce Ralston. I'm glad I'm watching this, people, because the fight ain't over yet. You told me you weren't gonna can no more. Yeah, shut the fuck up.
And we will continue taking action for you, so more people, so more people feel
Sorry, boo-boo up.
hopeful about their future here. Some look at the challenges ahead and say government should respond with deep cuts, leaving
That would be the BC Liberal government, and you know it's just a matter of time before they show up on the block, take everything over, and whatever happened in all those years that they basically destroyed my family's life with their rotten, stinking politics, right? It will just start up all over again because that's what they do. They go in cycles, right? You think you have a life until you wake up one day, and then all of a sudden you've got all these public union sectors workers out to get you, and they find by any means necessary to chip away to destroy your family. And that's basically what happened to my family, right? And then when you come back asking for justice, they say, oh, well, statute of limitation is up, as they ignore the evidence staring in their freaking face. Yeah, okay.
people to fend for themselves.
Didn't Uncle John teach me well? I should think so.
This would only weaken the services we all rely on and drive up costs with added fees and fares. It would leave people at risk to those who take unfair advantage by putting profits ahead of people. We see this in the current housing crisis. After decades where the housing market served the interest of investors and speculators, even those who earn a decent income are finding it hard to afford a home. And that doesn't sit well with our government. To further crack down on speculators, Budget 2024 will bring in the new BC home flipping tax. To those who just want to make a quick buck by flipping homes, things are about to get more difficult. If a home is sold within 2 years of purchase, the profit will be taxed. And the revenue will go right back into building middle-class homes for people.
Middle-class homes for people. Are they talking about those stacking packs with those plastic pipes and leaky basements? You got to be careful with the word home. I need to figure out what the median income is for a middle-class person in the province of British Columbia, Canada, when it comes to the dollar amount of their total income for the year. Is it $70,000 or $100,000 or $150,000 or maybe $250,000? Probably more between $150,000 to $250,000 to consider yourself to be a middle-class income individual or household, right? I don't think $70,000, $80,000 a year is going to cut it. Not in this day and age.
We all understand that life can change quickly, so there will be exceptions. But our government will always go after bad actors, whether they're dealing in real estate, money laundering, organized...
Bullshit. Organized crime, money laundering, real estate, bullshit. I brought it to the freaking table and they threw it out of court. Bullshit. Now I'm getting mad. I'm supposed to stay neutral.
Organized crime and more. And we'll continue to stand with working people.
How can you believe this, people, knowing what I've gone through and what I've done? Seriously.
Higher wages, better protections on the job, and by ending MSP premiums to deliver the largest middle-class tax cut in a generation.
MSP, that's medical, to pay into medical, right? So what, they're going to make it more universal? It's hard enough to get freaking medical services as it is. They've got me now running around trying to get another referral. As some doctor office that said that, yeah, they'd take me as a patient, hasn't bothered to call me back yet. I'm going to call them next week. I'm going to find out why they never called me back after they told me that they were going to take me and the kids. If they say, oh no, we can't, I'll say, send me back my freaking paperwork. You have absolutely no fucking right to have it on your files. Right? And then I'm left again without a family doctor. Right? And then I'm going to go to a clinic where doctors are, and it won't be my family doctor that I'll be speaking to saying, can I get a prescription or a referral to go see an eye doctor? He'll tell me, no, I'm not your family doctor. I can't do that for you. Or maybe he can. But he won't be able to give me a prescription for my eye drops. That I know for sure. Either or, they've got me running around trying to get another referral to go see the eye doctor that I was just seeing in January. Okay? Go figure.
Budget 2024 continues to put people first and keeps building on a strong foundation. We are taking action to fix today's big challenges and secure a brighter future for everyone. We'll do this by helping people with everyday costs, delivering more homes around BC, strengthening healthcare and the services people rely on with steady investments, and by building a stronger, cleaner economy that works better for people. Whether I'm at home in Pass Creek or at work in Victoria, I hear from those who are worried about everyday costs going up. While inflation has made things worse, people have been feeling stretched for a while. That's why our government has been helping with costs for years. We took tolls off bridges, made transit free for children under 12, and ICBC car insurance rates have been frozen or been cut on average by $500 a year for drivers. We became the first province in Canada to make prescription contraception free, saving a person up to $300 a year on birth control pills or up to $10,000 over a lifetime. We cut child fees by up to an average of $900 per month. And Mr. Speaker, we made a historic investment in school meal programs and contributed $60 million to the Student and Family Affordability Fund.
Yeah, $60 million. And what was I doing 23, 24 years ago? What did Mr. Ralston tell me when we were in Parliament? Come talk to me then. I can't go talk to him. Not about that. Not until there's justice for my family. right? But they don't need me. They don't need the foundation. They don't care about federal funding. They probably already get it. And they sure in hell don't care about the community in terms of thinking that the community should contribute to their school meal program, because they're satisfied with the $60 million that they put in, right? In terms of just a drop in the bucket when it comes to an actual universal school meal program. Okay, it just irks me, right?
This helps school districts cover extra costs like school supplies, field trips, or...
And trust me, I've done the math, okay? When I put the foundation together with the, number of schools, I think there was like over 2,000 and we'll just say 2,020 schools right across the province back in 2004, 3 or 5 or whatever it was. And then divide that by 160 million. It didn't leave really very much per school, per district. So you can only imagine 60 million doesn't get you very far, right? So that's what I mean by it's just a drop in the bucket, right? But for the Punjabi community, that's nothing. If the Punjabi community wanted to raise $60 million to match the government, to hold the federal government to account, to match the government. So now they've got, 60, that's 180, 60 and 60 and 60. 6, 12, 18. That'd be 100 and, 100 and, oh my God, I can't think. 60 million, that's only $180 million. Oh my God. It's late. You get my point. 60 million, that's 120 million, 180 million. 180 million is better actually than 160 million. And I'm telling you, if the Punjabi community wanted to generate 60 million to match the government in lieu of the foundation, and then the provincial government, right along with the provincial community, whether they're Punjabis, whoever, chipped in with their 60 million, it wouldn't be that hard to get 60 million from the federal government. Then you're rocking. And even then, it's just a drop in the bucket when you're looking at a universal school meal program that is functional and sustainable. Okay, this is just a Band-Aid solution. This is keeping up with inflation with the little bits and pieces that they've got now, because we don't have a universal school meal program in Canada. It's all Mickey Mouse taped together with great tape. But that's not my focus. My focus is on my family and lack of justice and the hypocrisy that comes from the parliament buildings.
Band instruments and school sports. I recently visited a school in Surrey and heard from a principal what a difference this has made for her students, not just at home, but at home as well. As a principal, she said she hopes students and families can continue to count on this support. And today, I'm happy to say, yes, they can. We will be replenishing the Student and Family Affordability Fund with more details to come soon. Our government has long been focused on reducing costs for education so people can get the training they need to land a better paying job. I think of Tara, who completed a bachelor's degree with plans for a master's program. As a former youth in care, she was able to do this for free in British Columbia. Tara will be the first in her family to graduate from university, and as she describes it, the one to break a generational cycle. A little extra money can make life easier, and it can bring your dreams a little closer. We know there's more to do. In an expensive world, Budget 2024 takes targeted action to keep more money in your pocket. A new BC Electricity Affordability Credit will save seniors, families, and individuals an average of $100 on their household bills over the next year. and the average small businesses will save around $400 over the year. The credits will appear on bills from April to next March. Mr. Speaker, many families will already be familiar with the BC Family Benefit. And now, starting in July, more parents will receive more money.
Okay. I heard that, and the first thing that I thought of was my landlady. I want more rent. Why? I just gave you more rent starting 7 months ago. It wasn't enough. I want more. Well, how much more do you want? We already give you $100 more than what we were giving you. Well, you figure it out. I just know I want more. But you do realize that you asked me that 7 months ago. No, I want more. Right? That guy over there, he wants me to kick you out because he says that if I kick you out, he'll give me $3,500 a month and he'll just give me the money and deal with whoever he rents. The same thing with the guy over there with the one that likes to cut down all the trees and is a mean bastard. He wants you to get out, me to kick you out, and he wants to rent out the house for me and give me $4,000 a month, but I let you stay. So because I let you stay, you need to give me some more money. But, I'm not satisfied with the $100 that you just gave me 7 months ago. You need to give me more money. Because if you don't give it to me, the guy next door will tell me to kick you out. Right? That's what I live with. All the time. And if it's not that, I get a raging fucking maniac screaming at me that he's going to bring in some bins and throw my shit out in the fucking bins. Because I'm not paying $4,000, $3,500, $5,000 a month for this house. So it doesn't matter what they do in terms of... Because my landlady's going to hear that, and through that organized religion with the overlords, they'll be like, okay, the government's giving the poor people more money, time to jack the rent up. So in 6 months from now, my landlady's going to come back to me and say, you need to pay more rent. I'll be like, yeah, but we give you $200 more in the last 14 months. Oh, no. I'd be like, yeah, I have it written down. Well, it's not enough. The guy over there wants me to kick you out. I let you stay, so it's not enough. Everything's so high. I have to pay for this, pay. Yeah, you. Okay. So how much? She won't tell me. But if you offer her $50, she's not happy with that. Right? So you give her $100, she's still not happy with that. And then when you're bickering, she'll be like, well, the government gave you more money. Because that's what she did with me last time. I said, what does it matter? Like, how do you know? I know. I said, so what? They give me money for me to give it to you? Is that how it works? But that's how it works. Now, with the government giving more people more money, poorer people, those below the medium income, we'll say below $45,000 a year, or even we'll cap it at $60,000 a year. But most people that are would get with the child tax benefit, they're below $35,000 a year. The landlords, they're watching. They'll come and you raise rent. Get out. You can't pay, get out. New people come in, they raise the rent by 1,000%. What was $1,000 is now $3,000. And now with more money coming, it will go up another $500. Right? They're not addressing that part. Do you right? Right? So what? You're going to give me more money so that my landlady gets it in her bonnet at 84 years old that she can come to me and gaslight me for more money? Because she's stacking and packing and taking it with her before she fucking flies the coop? Packing her bags? Is that it? Where's she running off with it? Oh, I know. She's leaving it for her grandkids. Well, she can do that, but not mine. Mine get the streets. They haven't solved any problems, people. All they've done is sick my landlord on me to come and ask me for more money because the government gave me more money under this budget, I guess in July. Maybe. I won't know until July. Right? Like, seriously. As I'm facing homelessness, because whatever rental things that they're building is not affordable. It's not. And I'm going to have to go off and do a video and go look around and record what I might have to move into, assuming that I can afford it. So I'm not just talking fucking hot air here. I can't afford $3,200 for a freaking 2-bedroom stack and pack, plastic pipe, leaky basement, fucking building, boo-boo building. With a playground on the roof, of all things. Yeah, okay. As if that's going to happen. Because the only homes that they're building, when it comes to like a home, are like the monster homes. And only a certain class of people can afford to live in a monster home, never mind purchase it. And even if they break them up, which they do, into suites, it's still too expensive. And as soon as the government gives poor people, or the working poor, extra money on child tax benefits or whatever it is, the overlords come out of nowhere and start demanding more rent by any means necessary. They don't even follow the law, people. They don't.
As we launch bonus payments for 1 year. The BC...
So whatever payments that they're going to do is only for 1 year. But the landlords don't give a shit. They'll just use that as a tool to raise the rent even more, hold it against you, and then when those benefits drop, you're still stuck with the high rent. As their landlords are still itching for more money because they're never fucking satisfied. Because they're too busy building wealth for themselves. I mean, this is nothing new. It's always been like that, to some degree or another. It's not race specific, right? In Britain, it was the same damn shit in the 1800s. Landlords were getting rich while the poor people were living in stack and pack buildings, paying out of their noses, living in squalor with rats and all, sleeping on top of each other, and the landlords were getting rich. Well, it's no different.
Family benefit bonus will add 25% to the benefit and go to about 340,000 families.
Okay, this part I heard and I didn't quite understand it. I don't know how the numbers add up. You're supposed to be getting an increase based on your income, right? Anything after, the last time I checked, anything over $33,000 a year as an income, they start deducting your family allowance. Because the family allowance, child tax benefit, it actually comes from the provincial government. No, sorry. It actually comes from the federal government. Wait a minute. How does that work? It was child tax benefit, right? Let me hear.
Easier, and it can bring your dreams a little closer. We know there's more to do. In an expensive world, Budget 2024 takes targeted action to keep more money in your pocket. A new BC electricity...
Hold on a minute. Okay, I'm only 10 minutes into this.
Affordability credit will save seniors, families, and individuals an average of $100 on their household bills over the next year. And the average small business...
That's less than $10 a month. But when you're dealing with millions of people, $100 adds up pretty quick, right?
Will save around $400 over the year. The credits will appear on bills from April to next March. Mr. Speaker, many families will already be familiar with the BC Family Benefit.
BC Family Benefit. I don't even know if I get that, honestly. I get the federal one for Amari. That's it. I don't get no benefits for Andre. I get a flat rate under a 2-year contract under some program that they brought in that basically classifies me as a foster parent. Yeah. I don't get no child tax benefits. I don't get to participate in the Healthy Kids program for dental or none of that crap. I only get the federal child tax benefit from the federal government. So I don't know what they're talking about here. I don't know if they I don't know. I'll have to check into this. All I know is that my landlady, excuse me, my landlady will hear this and will convince herself that I got more money and I should give it to her because I don't pay $3,500 a month. And as far as she's concerned, it's just simply kick me out and get the guy next door over to my left or the guy next door to my right to rent out the house for her, and they'll give her $4,000 a month now that the government here is giving poor people more money. It's a racket. So when she talks about taking care of crime, criminal activity, and laundering of money and all, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. What laundering of money are they going after? Where's the crime that they're going? The petty crime? Yeah. They don't want to solve murder. They're not interested in solving murder. That's a petty crime in British Columbia, Canada, for crying out loud.
And now, starting in July, more parents will receive more money as we launch bonus payments for 1 year. The BC Family Benefit Bonus.
BC Family Benefit Bonus. Honestly, I don't think I get that. I don't. I just get the child tax benefit from the federal government for Amari.
Yes, we'll add.
But my landlady won't care.
25% to the benefit and go to about 340,000 families. With the year-long bonus, a family of 4 will receive as much as $3,563.
This is what I don't understand. With a year-long bonus, the family will receive $3,000 something.
And a single parent with 1 child will receive up to $2,688.
$2,688 with a single. So if I qualified, I would qualify for that amount because I would be considered a single parent with 1 child, because I only can qualify for that type of benefit, I'm thinking, with Amari, not with Andre. And even then, I'm on social assistance, so that probably disqualifies me. Right? So this would be probably for the working poor that are not on any type of social assistance. Whether on persons with multiple barriers, like I am on, when in fact I should be on long-term disability, but good luck getting that done. You know, that's, my last application was denied because I had no family doctor to fill out the doctor section, and they refused 2 eye specialists as doctors to confirm that I was legally blind. It's a lot of effery, people. But I don't think I even qualify for this. But that's not what my landlord is hearing. Hell no. Because they're in their temple getting ready to go gaslight all their tenants. Guilt tripping them because they're poor and they can't afford $5,000 for their old bungalow that they're going to tear down anyway. I'm cynical. I know that.
$8. This works out to an average of $445 extra dollars per year.
See, that didn't make any sense. If you're going to get $2,600 and some odd dollars for the year, How does it only work out to $400 and some odd dollars for the year? Like something, I didn't catch it.
Parents can use the money to help with anything from groceries to registering their kids for the sports teams that they've always wanted to go to. With these targeted measures, Budget 2024 will help keep your bills down and more money in your pocket at the end of each month.
And that would only be $340,000 out of 5.2 million people. That's a very targeted group under a certain income. There's an income threshold around that, right? As always is.
Mr. Speaker, for so many of us, housing costs are the greatest expense we face, whether it's rent or mortgage payments. The housing crisis is complex. It's been made worse by decades of inaction, where governments of all levels left it to the private market to deliver homes. Prices went up as governments stepped back and speculators moved in. That's why we're bringing in the home flipping tax as our latest measure to crack down on bad actors. The problems facing our housing market have deep roots. Our government is responding with big solutions that'll deliver more homes for people.
Well, a really big solution would be clean your hospital system of illegal organ harvesting and the laundering of body parts, so that that money that's generated from that type of activity can't be funneled back into the housing market to build stack and pack buildings that are useless in the great grand scheme of things. Okay? Unless, of course, that's the plan. Because currently that's the plan. That's what's been happening. But the government seems to think that by ignoring that in court somehow makes the problem go away, as if it doesn't exist.
We're starting to see progress. Nearly 78,000 homes are complete or underway. There's been a 30% increase in new rental homes registered, a leading indicator of housing activity. And we're turning short-term rentals into long-term homes, changing outdated zoning and building housing near transit so people save money and enjoy more time with their families. This is all promising, but our team is nowhere near satisfied. Budget 2024 will build more housing and help first-time homebuyers break into the market. Because even with a good job and steady saving, it's tough to put together a down payment these days. As a result, there's more pressure on the housing market with people renting for longer. But as most people will tell you, every little bit helps. The first-time home buyer program was designed to provide that financial boost. But the program no longer reflects the realities of today's housing market. That changes with Budget 2024. First-time homebuyers will save up to $8,000 thanks to a reduced bill for property transfer tax. We expect up to 14,500 people, twice as many as before, will now be eligible for support to buy their first home.
For this house? To buy this house at $3 million? I think you need like a $600,000 or $700,000 deposit. Not including the income to go with it. Yeah. And they only paid $175,000 in 1991? Okay. That's what I mean. I've paid the mortgage 2 times over since I've lived in this house. If the house itself was only $175,000, I've paid more than that, people. 2 times over. Oh, yeah.
Additionally, people will pay a reduced amount of property transfer tax when they buy a newly built home. There's more to do, but these targeted, practical changes will help more middle-income people move up the homeownership ladder. Mr. Speaker, just over a week ago,
middle-income people.
Our government launched BC Builds. BC Builds will leverage government-owned, public, and underused land and low-cost financing to bring down construction costs and deliver more middle-class housing. Think of homes built on top of community hubs like recreation centers and libraries.
Think of homes built on top of community hubs like recreation centers. So what, are they going to take a recreation center and start building on top of it another stack and pack building? Is that what she's saying? Is that even possible?
Think about transforming an empty parking lot into homes for middle-class families. BC.
Well, that's easy enough to do. All you have to do is evict 7 houses in a row, throw everybody out onto the streets, come in with the UN soldiers with a bunch of bulldozers and dump trucks, fencing to keep the homeless out, cut down all the trees, clear the land, and there's your big empty lot. And then once you're done with that, go on with the next 7 houses in a row connected to the ones that you just tore down. And then go around the whole block, and when you're done the whole block, go to the next block. Because that's what they're doing out here.
Bills will turn these ideas into action. One of the best.
Okay, I wasn't going to do it, but I'm going to do it, people. Before I came across this, there was a little video that's on the other computer right now where in California, you know, they're clearing out the homeless camps. And there was one camp where everybody had their stuff around, but there was nobody around. Anyway, the guy that was doing the recording came across one woman that did a little bit of an interview, and I recorded it because there's a video on BitChute that I don't have on YouTube. Though there's a few videos on BitChute that I don't have on YouTube. I'm putting this up on YouTube, this one. So when I took that little clip, it was in reference to the video that's on YouTube. Okay? But I'm going to put that little clip at the end of this video. Because as far as I'm concerned, sure, they're only capable of doing so much. But at the end of the day, when you're a targeted family and you're left with just a handful of survivors, and you're falling through the healthcare cracks, getting shoddy medical devices like a crappy cataract lens that basically sabotaged you and made your eyesight worse so that you would fail and would be easier to take out because you're not in the category of being middle class. Yeah, I'm going to put that little video at the end of this as a reminder that a lot of those people that were living in RVs and whatever and whatever and whatever all up and disappeared, went for fucking lunch, boo-boo lunch somewhere, as the city's making plans to move them out and relocate them with their puppies and kittens, bullshit crap, right? Just like what they did when that Chinese leader came and had his hookup with Governor Newsom, and everybody just disappeared in the middle of the night to nowhere be found other than, oh, don't worry, yeah, we relocated them safely. Here's a video on YouTube to prove that we moved 1,000 people in the middle of the night with nobody watching, as if everybody got moved safely, as if we believed the old okie dokie, right? Yeah, okay.
Best features is that these homes will be income tested when a person moves in. Most residents will be spending no more than 30% of their income on rent. This will be a welcome relief.
She didn't add in subsidized housing, though. Because if it was subsidized, quote-unquote, housing, she'd say it was BC subsidized housing. She's not saying that, so I don't know how she's going to test income people to make it so that it's at 30% unless it's somehow connected to that portfolio when it comes to BC housing. Subsidized housing, that is.
For many, but I know there.
But she was targeting the middle class. Correct?
Renters who need support today. Our government has capped rent increases below the rate of.
Okay, this does not apply to me because my landlord doesn't pay attention to this part. She only hears that I get an increase from the government, so therefore I should give her more than the legal rate, because if I don't, I'm somehow less of a tenant than what my corrupt Punjabi landlords next door, homeowners, can get from my landlady if they kick me out. Right? They'd never rent to me. They don't need to. They just have to wait for the next immigrant family to be moved in and placed in by the city through some fucking nonprofit with federal, provincial, and municipal subsidies as they tap into the food bank, tap into this, tap in, sit on their asses for a year, go buy their mopeds, and start selling fucking drugs in the community so that they can be the next generation of overlords once they move into their own monster home and buy their own first rental property at the subsidized government's blessings. Well, my family will be completely destroyed by then. We'll be lucky to be one or two left. Yeah.
Inflation and boosted the BC Rent Bank. This is also the first year that people can receive up to $400 through a renter's tax credit. Budget 2024 will also introduce a property transfer tax exemption for new purpose-built rental buildings. This is a temporary measure that will help get more rental homes built in communities across BC. Strong public services, including healthcare, have always been foundational to our province. And today, Mr. Speaker, people are coming to BC in record numbers. They bring their skills as doctors, nurses, teachers, and as people working to build hope.
Dr. Barr, a famous gynecologist with his own operating team that's paid by the taxpayers of British Columbia, Canada, doting over dead bodies for 9 days as the government covers it up.
Homes, hospitals, and schools.
Wearing a turban.
In return, we need to make sure everyone has access to the services that we all count on.
Eleanor Gilding, pulling her clout, paying off a whole bunch of corrupt healthcare workers, doesn't matter if it's the ass wipers or the social workers or the doctors, just so that she can steal John's money. Yeah, what's his name? Mr. Bruce Ralston, he honestly needs to go and pull up John's superannuation life insurance policy and find out if they tweaked the files and stole that money from the government. Maybe if they stole it from the government might actually freaking care. But because they stole it from John, they don't care. But maybe if they find out that they stole it from them, then maybe, just maybe, the government might get angry and will look for justice for itself.
For many people, quality health care is top of mind, and with good reason. There are new pressures on our healthcare system, including a worldwide labor shortage, a retiring health workforce, and a growing population. We're taking steps to confront these challenges and strengthen healthcare in BC by adding 700 family doctors and over 6,000 nurses.
Oh yeah, give us your paperwork on your grandchildren and you, and we'll sign you up with this doctor. Paperwork gets dropped off. Oh yeah, the doctor will call your mom. Tell her that he'll call. He hasn't called. Well, I'm going to call next week. And if I find out that he doesn't want to see me, some Russian dude, because he doesn't like fucking Ukrainians, give me back my paperwork. Yeah. Serious. You want to bring war to Canada? Okay. I don't even like Ukrainians. Seriously, they're racist.
While allowing pharmacists to prescribe for minor illnesses, by making international credential recognition faster, and by developing a new medical school at SFU, the first to be built in Western Canada in more than 50 years. To build on this foundation, Budget 2024 will provide an additional $6 billion over the fiscal plan to strengthen healthcare. We are expanding home and community care services for more seniors so they can live healthy, independent lives in their homes. New or...
I disagree. Go to the old Yale Care Center and go talk to the old people and find out that they can't go home because they're being forced to sell their homes. Because they're slated to go into old folks' homes and to never be heard from again and then just suddenly die. Yeah, it's very easy just to turn off the IV, people. Seen it with Duncan, John's wife. And by the time you figure it out, it's too late. But what happens to the home when it goes up for market? Oh wow, it becomes property to build a stack and pack, or perhaps a monster home depending on what the city has designated for that particular street. It's a who's who housing market.
Upgraded long-term care homes are on the way for communities around BC, including Abbotsford, Nanaimo, Cranbrook, and Prince George. We're also continuing to build a better, more connected system of mental health and addictions care, where people get the right support at the right time, whether it's with a newly dedicated team at St. Paul's Hospital.
Another fallacy. It's just a lie. Right? No justice, no peace. What happened to Sierra? She was lured to her death 4 days after she got released from jail. Well, the cops covered up suspicious activity just so they had an excuse to rush her body off for a forensic autopsy so that they could pillage her organs. Let's be real about it, people.
Or at the Redfish Healing Center.
Why hand them over for free when you can sell them on the black market and funnel it into the housing market and your government covers your ass?
These are the kind of supports that made all the difference for Tyson, now a peer educator.
You see, that's the part Uncle John failed to teach me. I had to learn all that the hard way by losing my family members through the actual process of the corruption itself. And stare the devil, literally, right in the face and not be afraid to stand my ground.
At the New Roads Recovery Community in Victoria. In just 6 months, he has gone from being in jail to getting care and becoming an advocate for people with mental health and addictions. Now Tyson is helping others on their journey. Cancer.
I'd be very surprised if Mr. Ralston came back and said, yeah, I'll help you, Miss Chorney. I'd do it for you and Uncle John and the kids. Honest to God, I'd be so surprised. But I don't depend on it. I don't count on it. I don't wish on it. I'm just going to go through the process of doing what I said I was going to do for the sake of doing it on principle and for standing my ground for my family in terms of fighting for justice. As I warn others with what happened to my family, so that maybe, just maybe, if it starts coming their way, they might see it come and stop it from happening before it happens, where I didn't see it coming, because what they do is they blindside you. Because if you've seen it coming, you'd have a chance to be able to protect yourself and fight back. But they don't know how to fight fair. And that's why it keeps getting thrown out of court, people, right? And my family just keeps getting tossed off to the streets. Sooner or later, one way or another, you will never have another house like this. Oops, the government gave you more money. You need to give me more money. Well, how much? Well, I don't know. $50 isn't enough. You figure it out, because if you don't, I'm going to remind you that the guy over there wants me to kick you out so that he'll give me $4,000 a month and I don't have to do anything. He'll deliver the rent to me. And plus, he's a property owner himself. So he's of what? Cut from fine cloth. He's honorable. Yeah, okay.
Cancer has touched the lives of everyone in this province, whether it's your own fight or that of a friend or family member. Delivering better cancer care is a key focus of this year's budget. Work continues on BC's Cancer Action Plan with more cancer care teams.
And of course, we can't talk about that on YouTube because, it becomes medical misinformation, so I'll just shut up on this one.
Support for research, and help for patients who need to travel from rural communities. We're also making advances on screening with Canada's first province-wide lung screening program and at-home HPV test. These measures are already saving lives, as Christina from Port Alberni knows firsthand. She found precancerous cells through an at-home HPV test. After treatment, she's living cancer-free. Budget 2024 will commit an additional $270 million over 3 years to the fight against cancer. This will help strengthen prevention and screening services like the test Christina did and deliver treatment to people. Cancer care centres are also on the way for Surrey, Burnaby, Nanaimo, and Kamloops. All of those will provide better care closer to home. We will continue working to fix the gaps in services and infrastructure left behind by previous governments, because as BC's population grows and ages, we can't afford not to make those investments. Mr. Speaker, I think about the big...
Yeah, but then the BC Liberal government gets back in about another, anywhere between, we'll say 3 to 7 years, 8 years from now. That's all it takes. They'll all be wiped out. They'll go in for the swoop. Destroy thousands of lives in one swoop over a period of time. Been there, done that already.
Family dinners at my house and the joy bringing a grandparent brings me. Everyone who wants to have a child. During menopause, sorry.
She looks very old to be in menopause. Do you know I've never had menopause? My ovaries went to sleep when I was 40 because of the stress that my government put me through when they illegally kicked me out of my house of 8 years in the middle of winter with 5 dependent children and a blind man. In 2003. Yeah. And by the end of 2003, that was it. I didn't get my menopause. I didn't get anything. I didn't get my period, nothing. But I was ovulating. Go figure. But no, I never had menopause, people. I stopped my period in, when I was in that shanty shack. As soon as I left Wally's house. As soon as the government kicked me out, cut me off of welfare illegally, to which they sit up there in court saying I'm past my statute of limitation, as if I knew how to take them to court in 2003, sitting out in the fucking snow on the street with kids and Uncle John, basically scrambling, finding a way to house them by any means necessary. So yeah, start racking up the credit card. And that's exactly what I did. And they kept me locked out for 6 fucking years. Yeah. Yeah. Who needs menopause when you have that happen to you? But she looks old for being in menopause. I thought women, when do women get their menopause?
Okay. I got it.
Well, she's got white hair for crying
Everyone
out
who
loud.
wants to have a child should have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, right. But from the very get-go, she talked about how they give $300 a year for birth control pills, and if they want, they can take free birth control pills for their whole life at the total dollar amount of $10,000 that the government will pay for that, so you don't have kids. Speaking with forked tongue.
However, infertility and other barriers can pose challenges. In vitro fertilization, or IVF, is one option, but it can be expensive. People who want to start a family should be able to, regardless of the relationship status, who they love, or how much money they make.
Who they love. You notice how she threw that one in. In vitro. Where's Shamay's eggs? I'd like to know.
Starting on April 1st of next year, one cycle of IVF will be free in British Columbia.
For who? Literally, for who?
Budget 2024 commits $68 million over the fiscal plan to...
How does that work? They're willing to pay $10,000 for a lifetime for birth control pills so that you don't have kids. That's the first thing that she basically says within the first 5 minutes of coming into the throne speech here for the budget, right? Okay, and then not even, what are we, 20 minutes into the video, and it's an hour long, now she's talking about the government's willing to pay for the first in vitro session to help anyone, regardless who they are, to have a kid, right? Like, I don't know, it sounds kind of suspicious to me, people. And I can't get a family doctor to fucking give me a referral for anything or to fill a disability form because the one doctor I did have is trying to withhold my daughter's medical files from a stupid clinic so that I can't take it to my government and say, look, in her medical files, this says this at the clinic, this says this at the hospital. Look, even if I did that, people, they would ignore it anyway because they cover up fucking murder, they cover up illegal organ harvesting, they cover up the laundering of money, they cover up the corrupt housing market with the organized crime. They know that if they give the poor people or the working poor or those just above that medium income a little extra money, as soon as the landlords hear about the property owners, whoever, all of a sudden it's gimme, 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 gimme some more. You will own nothing, you will have nothing. This will be the last house you live in, so give me as much as you can give me until you can't give me no more and get the fuck out. Oh, but don't worry. They're building, what, affordable rentals that you could maybe buy, but you have to be middle class first. And you have to, before you can move in, you got to have a certain income threshold to be able to qualify at 30%. That is separate from BC subsidized housing. Okay? Because whatever she was talking about there didn't fall under BC subsidized housing. Because if it did, she would have said that because it would have been for people below a certain income. Instead, it's those above that income where they're going to pay 30%. So if they're making $80,000 a year, which kind of pushing them up a little closer to that middle class, then yeah, they're going to pay only 30% out of that 80,000 versus someone like me that gets fucking what, $16,000 a year? Hell no. Two different classes of people here. And with that comes different treatment. That's why I got the shitty fucking cataract. As they're implanting, regardless who you love. What is that supposed to mean? Last time I checked, AI is saying men can have babies. Well, what? How? With what? Unless there's something morbid going on in the back room. I'm just saying, people.
To implement the program. I know this will be welcome news for many, whether it's a person looking to have a child on their own.
Okay, you gotta be a pretty ritzy person on your own with a pretty damn good income in order to go into vitro, go through all that, pay, and then be a parent. I'm just saying. Well, they give the poor people free contraceptives for the lifetime and put them on the fucking run. Yeah, basically.
People who are experiencing infertility or a same-sex couple who has tried other methods.
There you go. She wasn't specific. Woman, man. That's the ball park that she's playing in, people.
This will help more people on the path to parenthood. This year's budget also includes significant support for education and services for young people. K-12 education is one of our government's top priorities, and that's reflected in this year's budget. We're responding to growing student enrollment with $968 million for more teachers and support staff in classrooms. We're also committing a historic $4.2 billion over the next 3 years to build, renovate, and seismically upgrade schools and playgrounds right across the province. That's more than double than what was committed in 2017.
I don't know if I want to do this all night.
To make sure children with learning needs have support to thrive
this up tomorrow.
At home and in the classroom.
It's already too long.
We are helping more families access services for individualized autism support. And to help children with learning differences like dyslexia, this year's budget commits $30 million over the next 3 years. New and expanded school outreach teams will help screen more than 150,000 students from kindergarten to grade 3. Once the program is fully rolled out, we expect about 9,000 students per year will benefit from new literacy supports. Mr. Speaker, as a former early childhood educator, I understand how important reading skills are for a child's confidence and their success in life. With this year's budget, we are also improving frontline support for children and youth in care. This includes doubling the number of roots workers to help Indigenous children in care and out-of-care homes remain connected to their culture and community. Mr. Speaker, the world is moving to a clean energy future. With BC's strong economy, abundant natural resources, and skilled workforce, we have what it takes to succeed. And no matter where you call home, you should feel BC's economy working for you, with jobs and opportunities for you and your family to build a good life. Budget 2024 commits more than $1.3 billion over 4 years to fight climate change and keep building a cleaner economy in partnership with First Nations, communities, and businesses. Here in British Columbia, small business is big business. Small businesses create first jobs that turn into careers. They sponsor local sports teams, and they employ more than 1 million people in this province. However, it's been a tough couple of years. Our government provided grants, not loans, to get them through the pandemic. But now small businesses are being squeezed by inflation and high interest rates. That's why our government is taking another step to help small and growing businesses with costs. Mr. Speaker, we are doubling the exemption threshold for the employer's health tax from $500,000 to $1 million. Effective immediately, about 90% of businesses will be exempt from the tax. We've been hearing from business leaders that these savings will help to recruit and retain talent. To support these plans, Budget 2024 continues to invest $228 million over 3 years in the Future Ready Action Plan. It's our government's plan to close the skills gap employers are facing and help people get the training they need to land a well-paying job. For example, we are creating 3,000 new tech seats at Post-Secondary Institute in areas like data science, life science, and agritech. In our province, we have a talented and growing workforce, along with an abundance of resources. There are natural strengths, and they are creating good jobs and opportunities around BC. In Maple Ridge, hundreds of people will be working at the new E1 Moly battery facility. A capital investment of $36 billion in BC's electrical grid will generate work for over 10,000 people a year in the next decade. And a new mass timber facility in Williams Lake is just one of many new manufacturing projects that will offer good, secure jobs.
Yeah, for immigrants, people, that's what it's for.
We are a mining jurisdiction with the critical minerals to power a clean economy, from electric cars to wind turbines and solar panels.
That's all that's moving into the province, as the old white people are being locked up into old folks' homes and being flushed out of their houses. Oh, not all of them, because it would be too conspicuous, right? But a large majority of them, okay? I won't stop saying it, people. I witnessed what was going on in that temporary care ward. I listened to the old white people that were sitting in the wheelchair, right? Or trying to leave that place and couldn't leave, okay? Right? It just wasn't, like, it wasn't staged. Like, they weren't staged. They were real people with real stories, and they were being held captive, and they were being forced to put up their houses and sell their assets so that they could pay to lose. Yeah. Pay to stay at the temporary care ward, waiting for their house to sell. So if you stayed in the temporary care ward for 8 months, at $32 a day times 8 months, that's a lot of money that's coming off the sale of the house. And then whatever's left, then they go pay for the old folks' home for the care there. And if they want things extra after they've already been charged for this, and this, then they still have to pay. And by the time they're done, they're left with nothing. And then they die. Mm-hmm. Well, the Punjabis, well, for whatever strange reason, they get to stay together in their multi-family generational monster homes and be one big happy family. But not Uncle John, not people like him, because he was Caucasian. Eleanor wanted his money. Like I said, Mr. Ralston needs to go and see if she stole from the government and not just from John. And even if she didn't get away with stealing John's supposedly superannuation life insurance policy, well, maybe he'll have a little ounce of humanity in him, and he'll call an investigation into what actually happened to him, because he's the government. He can pull strings now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and God forbid if he ended up in a situation like Uncle John, he would want somebody fighting on his behalf. Yeah. Unless, of course, he's been replaced. And he just doesn't give a shit. So I take it with a grain of salt.
And we're ready to deliver with lower carbon emissions, good wages and working conditions, and in partnership with Indigenous peoples. Work is underway on a Made in BC critical mineral strategy. Today, we are committing $24 million to support further action on mine permitting in collaboration with First Nations, industry, and communities. Mr. Speaker, people understand that a growing clean economy is good for people and it's good for business. That's why Budget 2024 continues to support Clean BC, our continent-leading climate action plan, with $318 million over the next 3 years. We're making the cleaner choice, the more affordable choice. This year's budget will expand heat pump rebates for low and middle income households.
I'm going to turn this off. I'm only 25 minutes into the video here, and we still 1 hour and 7 minutes. This is what gets the NDP into trouble. Right? They spend. And then, of course, it's used against them with the opposition party, which is basically the BC Liberal government, in terms of a provincial BC Liberal. Not federal, completely different parties, right? And then, for the few Green or Independents, they're not strong enough to, to form a government, right, by themselves. So you basically have the New Democrat Party, and then you have the provincial BC Liberal, which is strictly provincial, and they're the ones that come in with all the cutbacks. And of course, coming in with the cutbacks, that's when they start bringing in welfare reform from the United States of America after the handshake with Bill Clinton, right? Go after vulnerable families like mine, commit fraud and whatever, and roll the dice, and then run away from the truth when it finally does get to court, and proceed to continue to gang stalk one way or another over a course of years, pluck one off here, kidnap one there, have one murdered over there, all for the purpose of generating money that can be laundered, through the underground economy one way or another, through criminal activity and of criminal mind. And so I'm getting tired. I need to maybe turn this off here in a minute, because they're spending. That's right. They're spending. We haven't heard where their income is coming in yet. Last year, they said that they had a surplus, and the only reason that they had a surplus was because of the housing boom in terms of building the stack and pack buildings, and they were going to speed up the demolition of houses to make property available to build the stack and packs, or depending on the, geographical location, the monster homes, because you're only getting two things being built out here. You're getting the monster home, or you're getting the stack and pack buildings. We know who's living in the stack and pack buildings. Of course, they're going to milk every penny that they can at premium price, because they're new. But within 20 to 30 years, they're going to become the next generations of slums. Let's face it. They'll be infested with cockroaches, bed bugs, freaking cupboard bugs, and mice. Not to mention a bunch of crazy people, because everybody will be living with those pests, as well as be on low income, as the overlords that live in the monster houses are squeezing the life out of them by give me more money. Give me more money. The government gave you more money. Now that the government gave you more money, you need to give me more money, because the rent went up. And they're already charging $3,500, $3,200 for a 2-bedroom stack and pack, literally, people, with plastic pipes and basements that are fucking leaking. Because that old folks home, supposedly 55 and under, that was built for 55 and under, but they have to be elderly in order to either purchase a suite or lease a suite, is still sitting more than 3/4 empty. And the thing was built almost 4 years ago. As my neighbor has her trees fall down because of the flooding that occurs because of what they did with that building. And there's sump pumping every time it rains heavy, because the basement is flooding. And it's been flooding for years. So whatever problem that building has, they haven't fixed it. But it's just a charade. That's the thing. It's for show. It's like China. They build buildings, but nobody lives in them. They build it for investment, to launder money, to have assets on paper, but nobody lives in them. And if they do, they're paying over $3,000, because the neighbor in the I'll put it on me. I'll come back to this tomorrow. The neighbor, let's see. Where can I do this? Right here. The neighbor, is this still recording? Yeah. Okay. I'm tired. I had the kids from 9 o'clock in the morning, Tisha's kids, and they're sleeping all day from 9 o'clock. She's doing tattoos on her body. Oh. Anyway, the neighbor that lived in the duplex at the corner, which is going to be tore down to build another fucking stack and pack right next to the one that's leaking and flooding out the neighborhood, okay, and that nobody lives in practically, because I just asked my neighbor a month ago, right, I said, have you seen what's going on in there? I haven't walked by lately. Is anyone even living in that place? She said out of that whole building in the back, she sees 3 lights on. That's it. Out of the whole building. It's like 4 stories. And a lot of suites in there, people. Because nobody's moving in. Anyway, when she was forced to move out, right, because, you know, the Punjabis bought it to tear it down. But before that happened, they kicked them out. It wouldn't fix anything. She got tired, and they did this. They did the same thing. The owner did the same thing that happened to me. She was living there with her husband, who was kind of ill, and they were like retired, right? And they had been there for like years and years and years and years and years and years and years, and they were in the basement, right? Anyway, the Punjabis bought it, and then all of a sudden the son came, was raging around, telling them to move out, get out, get out, get out, right? You know, you don't pay enough rent, blah, 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 blah. Pay more rent or get out. She got all freaked out. She ended up phoning the father, literally. She told me. She was a native woman with her husband, right? Worked for the province of British Columbia, Canada, with BC Liquors. In those days, I don't know if they still have BC Liquor, but it was run by the province, right? So she, you know, she had a little pension after the fact and everything. Anyway, she phoned the father, got a hold of the father who owned it, right? And said, look, your son is coming here, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, the father told the son to back off. Well, they backed off for a while, but they didn't fix anything, right? And they're living. And then they started to put the pressure on. Oh, you know, we're going to be tearing down the place, and you need to move out, and blah, 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 blah. Finally, they gave up. So they started looking like, you know, they were being forced out of there, people. That's what I'm saying. They were being forced out of there. If they're not fixing the fucking place because they want you to be miserable, they're gaslighting you, right? They're making you feel guilty because, you know, you're locked into lower rent because you moved in at a lower rent. But with so much of the corruption, it's increasing so high, so fast, because they can get away with it. Because whatever the government talks about is just goes in one ear and out the other, right? And you know, they don't care because the government is part of the problem. Because they don't enforce what they legislate. That's the first thing. They don't, you know, they don't catch the crooks in the act, right? They don't clean the province of the corruption within the laundering of the money and where the money comes from with the harvesting of body parts and murder by fentanyl and just whatever. So anyway, so my neighbor over there, right, finally, after a year and a half of 2 years of being badgered and tortured to death with the owner not fixing a damn thing, with leaky pipes and shit, they started looking. She told me, we're moving. We're going to start looking. We have to, because it's just, can't live there, right? And she did. She went to that place there. It's just not even 100 feet away from me. The alley that comes into my garage when it rains, because there's sump pumping all this extra water out of their basement. You can hear the pump. It's been like that for a couple of years now, people. Anyway, she went to go make inquiries, and it was like $3,000 a month for a little dinky 1-bedroom something. with a leaky fucking basement. I said, you do realize that basement floods, right? Oh, no, I didn't know that. I said, yeah, it does. And you can't afford $3,000 for a one-bedroom. A dinky little space. Not to mention finding out that the basement floods. The carport that on the, the ground. Kind of makes you wonder what's going to happen with the foundation after a while. Right? Even in the surrounding area, because the land gets saturated with it. That's why my neighbor's trees get root rot and just fall over. She's had like 2-3 trees fall over, literally, with root rot. And we're talking big ass trees. Just fall over. Almost crashed into her roof. Yeah. That's what's happening out here. So anyway, they got rid of her. Finally. Right? But that's what my landlord's son did. He showed up here, wanted to see the window, wandered off over there. We were talking about the window. I have a window, he was measuring it. I said, yeah, please, take it, because I got it from when I had the little house. And then he walked me off over here where I have documented energy weapon goes through, right? I had me stand there with my back turned, and then just went off on me out of the fucking blue, out of nowhere, and told me either cough up $3,500 a month or get the fuck out, because if I can't pay $3,500 for this house right now, next month, he's coming in with the bins and he's going to start loading up my shit. And my landlady's just standing there. And he's accusing me of abusing my landlady because she's old, because I won't pay market price in terms of rental, even though I lived in this house for 12 fucking years and gave up my life for them in this yard. It's like a lot of mind effery, people. Like, it's stupid. They're not addressing any of this. They encourage a predator class. And now they're rewarding the predator class, from what I can hear, in terms of, well, if you're middle income, but you can't afford your rent, we'll subsidize you, but we just won't call it BC housing, because that's for people on welfare or the working poor, basically, at, what's the cap to qualify for BC housing? I'm at $16,000 a year on an income with welfare. I would qualify for BC housing. But I'd have to go on a waiting list that I could be on for 10 years. To which I'm actually thinking to put myself on the waiting list for BC housing. Doesn't mean I'll take it if it should come, but if it should come, it might be an option. Because I'm still having issues with my son, because I ain't doing things fast enough the way he wants me to do things, or getting rid of enough the way he wants me to get rid of, to the point where I don't want to live with him. And being that my landlady thinks I'll already have nothing after I leave this house, it might be something I should consider. But we already know I'm being kind of sabotaged here, one way or the other, right? Only some people can have 35 family members, where others are left with 5. And the clock is ticking, because it's actually the real new Congo that we live in, considering what my neighbor has to say and how they were treated as elderly people living in a suite that they had been in for years and years and years and years and years and years. But the new property owner, who's a property developer, decided that they didn't want them because they wanted to kick them out so that they could raise the rent. Because that was the purpose, because they haven't torn down that place yet. And you know somebody's living in the basement after the pipes were fucking fixed, after they got rid of the old tenant that lived there 15 years. And we're talking elderly people in retirement that can't afford $3,000 for a leaky new condo specifically made for their age group, 55 and over. But the new owner definitely scared them out of there so that they could rent that little basement suite for 2 or 3 times the money than what they were paying. I'm in the same freaking position as I'm being accused of abusing my landlady, as she buying more property and built herself a new fucking house since I've lived here, and she moved into that house, which is fine, but at what cost? At the death of my family, people. And it's a systemic problem right across the province. It's a systemic problem right across the province. And that's why I'm facing homelessness, right along with a whole lot of other people. Last year, their surplus budget, to be able to spend the money that they were spending, I'm going to leave it on this, came from property development with these stack and pack fucking buildings that they're building now. And there was a huge price to pay in order to get the land for those stack and packs to be able to be built. To which it's still happening because they fast-tracked it with the cities to approve the permits to tear down even more houses, kick out more families so that they could build more stack and packs. Whether they sat empty or not, it doesn't matter because it's all the funneling and laundering of the money off of the fentanyl sales and the body parts and all this other shit that they fucking do. And they said that they couldn't do it next year. They couldn't guarantee that this year, this was last year's budget, that they would have a surplus. But the way they're going on, talking about, this, we're spending money here, we're spending money there. Hell, they're even spending money in vitro for same-sex couples. Same-sex couples. She wasn't specific as to what the same sex was. But we're already being told through, I don't know what, but men can have babies. How is that possible, people? Unless there's something shady going on. Huh? You only can have certain body parts for that to happen. So is the same-sex couple only related to women? Is that how it works? But it has to be done through in vitro, to which the government will pay for the first treatment. I can only imagine how expensive that would be compared to lifelong birth control for the poorest of the poor at $10,000 a pop. Lifelong birth control. I'm sure one session of in vitro is probably more than $10,000. How is the provincial government paying for in vitro for same-sex couples, regardless whether they're male or female? Can you say that? I don't know. I'm just saying, how is it that they can afford to pay that? Where are they getting their money from? That part we haven't heard yet. Maybe we'll hear it in the other half of the video, where they're getting their income to be able to spend, because that's what gets the NDP into trouble. That's where the BC Liberal comes in and says, they fudged the budget, they overspent with this, they spent too much money there, they, did this, they did that, they blah. Now we're in Parliament and we're going to cut, and they always cut the poorest of the poor, the working poor, those below that 45,000. You know what I'm saying? You don't even have to be on welfare. You could just be below $50,000 a year and you're going to get cut. But if you're the poorest of the poor, on welfare, low income, working poor, oh my God, your family will be targeted, forgotten about, used and abused, and hidden away like a dirty secret. That's exactly what happens. And it's a cycle. There's good times, NDP, spend. Even though there's a lot of corruption, they ignore it, they cover it up, they don't give a shit. And then there's hard times. Cut. And they sure in the hell don't stand for nothing outside of gimme as a greedy fucking public union sector, right along with that greedy organized religion in terms of, you know, two partners in crime. Maybe I should do a part 1 and a part 2, because this is probably pretty long. Part 1 and part 2. Maybe I'll do that. We still have... I'm only 20 minutes into it. 25 minutes into it out of 60 minutes. It's an hour and 7 minutes, so I still have like about 40 minutes to go. So I think I should probably just upload this and then do part 1, do part 2. So maybe I'll do that, because I'm going to have to clear this computer anyway. I want to know where they're getting their money from to be able to be spending money on it for in vitro treatments one time, as they're giving middle-class income people subsidized housing but not calling it BC housing. And follow up and try and figure out exactly if that's what I heard in terms of, because it was not BC housing. She said for the middle class, they'll get no more than 30% of their income. That's a different portfolio that they're bringing in. Yeah, that's what that is. So now the middle class get BC housing, only they're not calling it BC housing. They're going to be calling it something else. They're just using the same principle, because it's already, the blueprint is already there. They just have to open up a new ledger with a new title. That's it. And then put money into it, hire a bunch of workers, and they're good to go. Right? And that's how they'll ease in their rent to buy. That's how they'll ease in their rent to buy program that they're trying to build in. Yeah. They'll bring them in as that subsidy where, you know, you're middle class, you're paying your 30%. Clearly we can see that you're established, you've got a good job, you're responsible, blah, right? You got everything, you know, crossed with the T's and the I's are dotted, and now we can move in and transition you into buying, to which I can tell you right now, that will be all immigrant base. It will be the immigrants, 85% or more, who will qualify for those programs, people. Yeah. It's not going to be for the Canadian born. Very few. I can guarantee you that right now. Yeah. Like my son or someone like that, ain't happening. Not going to happen. No. I don't see that happening. I don't want them. Because that's what's happening in British Columbia and Canada. It's being taken over by immigrants. Yeah. So they come in with perks. It's just the way it is. They get what is that? How do you say that? Preferential treatment? Yeah. Like the Syrians next door. Just saying. Okay, we're going to just listen to this for a minute. This is some dude named Nick Johnson. He runs around the country recording poverty-stricken individuals or poverty neighborhoods, impoverished neighborhoods. I don't really like his videos because he's a bit condescending. He smooths it over for the establishment versus seeing it for what it really is. In the meantime, let's just listen for a second.
Oh, good. All right. I asked around, who can I talk to? One lady told me to talk to a woman named Catherine, who goes by Crazy Cat. Like everyone else here, Cat was getting ready to leave. She had about a week to find a new place to live. She told me that dealing with all of this and trying to work at the same time was a real drag. I can imagine. She told me she works as a cashier at all the sporting events in the area. She also told me because she works, she's only entitled to $23 a month in benefits. If she didn't work, she'd get 10 times that amount. Tell me what you want to say. I don't care what you say. You just say it.
Well,
Thank you.
I was in stage 1. I've been here almost 2 years, so right here, and it's been hell out there. Basically, what happened was I've been on all the news stations, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 11 Spanish station. At first, we had no running water. The city came out and dug the street up, turned off all the water. We had 2 bathrooms. One of them is still here. It's open, as you can see, it's open, but it's supposed to. There's no plumbing. They shut them down. We had another one, but it burnt down. That was over here by the other baseball field. And we had nowhere to go to the bathroom. We had no water. And people that brought out water, the people from the streets brought water. Everybody was fighting, physically.
Fighting over water.
Yeah, because we had no water. There was water spouts, and the city came along and took off all the knobs, so you couldn't turn.
This is in California with the governor, Newsom? Anyway, this guy that's making this recording here with this woman, he walking around this homeless camp, I guess that's been there for 2 years, which is being taken down by the city now. And nobody is really around. It's basically empty. But he did manage to run into 1 or 2 people. Okay? And don't forget, when that Chinese leader came for that little ceremony or whatever was going on in California, in the middle of the night, 1,000 people or more off of the streets in California just up and disappeared in the middle of the night, with the rumor of some people have completely disappeared and their family members are looking for them, but nobody knows where they went. While another rumor is somebody out that way, a whistleblower, came across a warehouse where he looked inside it and found a bunch of torsos. No arms, no legs, just the torsos. Hold on a minute. Anyway, as I was saying here...
And it got so bad that they were using wrenches to turn it on. Well, that was over there, and then they found...
So yeah, he said that he came across a warehouse where he found a bunch of torsos stacked upon stacked upon stacked upon stacked of them, each other. Just a whole bunch of freaking torsos. Kind of makes you wonder, right? People just up and disappear in the middle of the night in 1,000? Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. Well, the city comes in and takes all their shit and throws it in the garbage, or siphons through it and take what they want and Drop it off at Value Village to make a bit of change? Who knows? Take some home? Build a porch out of it? Who knows? Right? Yeah, okay, people. Now they're going from camp to camp to camp. It sounds like in California in the different cities. This is an elderly woman working, right? Having no access to clean water or a bathroom, right? And she's being asked to move, right? Put on the run, right? Yeah, okay.
That out, and then they took the drinking fountain that was over by the horseshoes. I mean, if you go on to I've been on San Jose Spotlight twice. I've been San Jose Mercury News twice. To where if you go back last year, I'm over the drinking fountain like this, but there's no water.
So where are you gonna go next?
I have a tiny home, but the problem is with the tiny home is so many rules.
It's what?
So many rules.
Oh, rules. Okay.
For one, you can't have no visitors. You have to check in by 10 o'clock at night. And they're...
Yeah, because, you know, they were depressed and were suicidal and killed themselves with fentanyl, right, in their little module, aka tiny home, right? As the coroner service comes in with their hammocks and haul the bodies out in the middle of the night so all the other residents don't see it, right? And quite possibly the individual was murdered, but you'll never know because he wasn't allowed to have a friend in there to keep an eye on him, right? So he must have did it to himself. Yeah, it's quite the little system that they got going here, these government workers. Yeah, we know how it fucking rolls, don't we?
They did it to themselves. They were depressed. It was a suicide. Oh, well, you don't want to accept that? Then let me shove it down your throat that it was an accident.
Yeah, okay, no, you purposely isolated them so that you could say that. Yeah.
Why are there so many homeless people in San Jose?
Because a lot of it was because of COVID. The COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs.
Oh, but our governments didn't ruin 1 million lives. Hell no, this is a BitChute exclusive. We can't put this up on YouTube because we're not going to sugarcoat the public union sector with their corrupt employer to make it so that they can keep doing the old okie dokie to the general public as we slowly but surely die off as we're being replaced by a dumbed down immigration population, except for the ones that do the heinous crimes, like these doctors that come from the United Emirates, from India, from China, from Pakistan, well, maybe not Pakistan, but from places like that, right? You know, where they're illegally harvesting organs at the becking call of our loving freaking government, okay? Yeah. Because you know they're harvesting the organs as people are dying off, people. Don't be fooled. Don't listen to the, oh, well, we can't take it because they're contaminated with cocaine. Oh, to the hell with that. They flush the freaking organs out. They take anything and everything these days. Okay? Honest to God, I swear they're putting it in the freaking food source. Into the food chain. Yeah. And if they're not putting it into the food chain, these things are eating this shit themselves. Okay, there's just way too many people dying conveniently at the becking call of our corrupt government. YouTube wants to take down my freaking video saying that I'm being misleading by saying that what the governments are doing has ruined, in British Columbia, Canada, has ruined 1 million lives. Yeah, okay, well, you're hearing it from the horse's mouth. Okay? More than 1 million lives. That was just in BC, British Columbia, Canada. Okay? But go from province to province, territory to state to state to state. You're talking, what, 1 billion lives? Not to mention the ones that have died because of the inoculations via an analog, something that was manufactured in a lab. Okay.
Isn't fentanyl manufactured in a lab?
Different areas. I heard Silicon Graphics and stuff like companies had to downgrade because no work. So they had to let the new people go.
Why don't you just leave San Jose and go somewhere cheaper?
Well, I am actually in the process of hopefully next week I will have my 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment that the manager has been saving for almost 70 days.
So you have somewhere to go.
I'm just waiting for the clearance of my social security number because while studying abroad.
Wow. Why can't we be surprised with the ad, right? That's up YouTube's freaking alley. Okay, got rid of that ad.
I went through, had the wrong social security number. I did my W-2, I did my 1099, my work verification, everything passed. My background check passed. And I said, well, I used to do my DA with the city, Parks and Recreation. I was a volunteer at the library. I said, so city and county, not a problem. I can pass the background check. And my rental.
So are you going to get a job then? I mean, you're...
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'm looking at being Santa's helper at the mall.
Okay.
They said, are you good with customers?
You can tell by her face that she's been on the street for a very, 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 very long time, people. For a very long time.
Are you good with crying kids? And I said, 3 years ago, I worked at the fairgrounds, Jurassic Quest, which is Jurassic World and Jurassic Park. The moving mechanical dinosaurs. They said, are you good with kids? Crying kids? And I said, oh yeah. So, I mean, I was offered the job the next year, but unfortunately, COVID hit, so.
How do people feel that they're closing this down?
It's hard. It's very hard because a lot of people, their RVs are their homes, and unfortunately, the rats. They have some kind of rats out here that eat the wire. My friend here, who's not here, he had a Mitsubishi 2003 Mitsubishi Eclipse Spider convertible. He used to go down the trail by the creek giving out food. They ate the wire.
So where is everyone going to go?
They're trying to find places like tiny homes. They have a new program that just came out with Life. Well, Home First is one. Life Moves is another one. And I'm in Life.
Yeah, just scooped up in the middle of the night, 1,000 at a time, disappear. Everybody's all honky-dory, got into a tiny home. Yet, people are calling out for their brother, for their sister, whoever, can't find them. So, how many really are getting the tiny home?
In Home First, but I'm in Life Moves now, which is rapid rehousing. So, within a year, first 3 months they pay 100% of the rent. Next 3 months, you pay 25, they pay 75. So within that year,
They transition you over to taking it over. Is there enough housing for all these people out here?
no, not really. Life Moves program says they have more like RV parking and stuff in San Mateo County. So Mountain View is one that they're offering safe parking to. Santa Teresa Light Rail. What I heard is Santa Teresa Light Rail is supposed to be having, they got a bunch of people that are staying in that area. They're going to offer the RV parking to, and then us. So hopefully if there is enough spaces available, but it's been put on hold, something happened that...
Well, there's just too many people.
Yeah. I did the homeless count last year for Santa Clara County. For this area right here, we counted 648. That's including the 3 stages. Stage 1 was the city yard.
650 people just out here in this.
We had 3 stages. Stage 1 was the city yard to Walnut. Okay, that just that little area all the way up on the side right behind 7-Eleven all the way to Hague. And we're including Walnut Street people, tents, vehicles. We're talking all along Asbury. Then stage 2 was Walnut to Spring. And we're counting RVs, trailers, tents, everything from there, from Taylor and Spring all the way up to Hague and Spring. And then stage 3 was from Spring all the way to the creek over here. And we're talking 650 people. Now, when they moved it down to everybody in stage 3, because they closed off stage 2 like 2 months after stage 1, so everybody had to move over to stage 3. And I mean, if you go down along the trail, you see it. They had people living underneath the bridge right here, like 12 years.
How long have you been here?
I've been here 2.
Two? Okay. Were you one of the first ones out here?
No, there's people that have been out here like 8-10 years.
On this spot?
Not right here, but along the...
In this area, yeah.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. I'm basically, this used to be my bed right here. This is where I used to sleep. And then I got together with my friend after I lost my husband, who died of prostate cancer. And he was owed $28,000. And the guy says, well, the owner says, well, he's dead. I don't have to pay no more. I don't have to pay you nothing. I was like, a year and a half, almost 2 years that we were there. You agreed we had a notarized paper with his signature, public notary, everybody's signatures on there. I said, I owe you nothing.
Yeah, Canadian CIBC Bank in Canada, in partnership with Fraser Health Authority, right? Had 25 years enduring power of attorney with Uncle John, and what they do? They robbed him of his inheritance, people. Yeah, and it gave him shock therapy, practically fucking killed him, then locked him up like a dirty secret in an old folks' home. And then they snuffed him out 3 days before 3 years after they medically kidnapped him. Yeah, they got what they wanted. That's what happened. Yeah. So I can relate to that. Oh, for sure I can relate to that.
Now, I don't know where these people are going to wind up one day, but there's a good chance they won't be here. One day, this will probably all be gone. But you never know in California. It's a state that continues to boggle the mind and the senses.